style, genre. What is a genre? It pertains to both reading and writing. What is a genre? Cole.
Like it's like what kind of book it is, like nonfiction or fiction or whatever.
Beautiful. And there are different genres of writing. There's comics. There's fictional, non-fictional, poetry. So we are going to enter the world of fairy tales. Once upon a time, there lived a princess, and her name was Chicken. And she lived in the land of chicken fingers. And she wore a crown of
Chicken leg.
So, there we have. So fairy tale, much like comic books, are real or not real? Fiction or non-fiction? Not real. Fiction. Fun. Who can name some fairy tales that you know of? There's a lot. Let me get rid of this. I think we should use who can name a fairy tale for me? Kenna. Snow White.
My favorite, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. What are we eyeing? If I can spell. It makes me want to break out in song.
Yes.
But I'm not. Emma. Oh, Goldie. Now, we've had some other versions of that in class, haven't we? Which is fun. Owen.
Oh, you mean the egg guy?
Is that a fairy tale? I guess. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All right, friends. This does not give you the right to just start making all of the talking. Caroline. Helen.
Princess and the Frog and Cinderella.
Cinderella. Princess and the Frog? Is that what you said?
The princess. Oh. It's like
Okay, guys. Whoa. Bring it down. Whew. Take a deep breath. Ella. What? Tangled. Do you know what the real fairy tale is called from Tangled? That is an adaptation of the real fairy tale. It starts with an R. What was her name? Yes. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let your hair down.
I'd rather not.
I'd rather not. I don't want using my hair as a rope. Grayson.
The Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad
We have 3 little pigs. They have been taken.
How
Jonathan.
I think it was called like Chloe the Girl or something.
Winnie the
better. I really want to write Pooey the Bear, but I don't. Oh, Jonathan, that was good. All right, Luke.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, yes. Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, my goodness.
That's what I'm gonna call her.
That might just stick in my head forever on. Whenever I think of Winnie the Pooh, I'm going to think of Pooey the Bear. Oh, my. All right, McKenna.
Aladdin.
Aladdin. I don't think that's how you spell Aladdin.
No, it's one L. It's two D's.
Two D's and no. Okay.
Two D's, one L. Aladdin.
There, that looks better. There you go. M.
Pocahontas.
Ooh.
Pocahontas? Wait, do you say Pocahontas? You don't know what that is?
All right, friends. Bring it down. Down. Helen. Mulan.
It's the movie where this dude. No, it's a girl.
Excuse me, but it's a girl.
And then
All right, friends. Enough. I don't want to take straws away. We're having fun, but we do enter a phase where the fun becomes too much. Anybody have another? Ella. Moana. Is that really a fairy tale? I suppose. I don't know. It's a Disney movie, but I don't know if it's a fairy tale. I'll put it down. I love Moana. But a lot of these are, let's make a point here. What is this common theme, though, that you know a lot of these because of what and who has made a movie about them? Cole? Yes. So Disney has taken a lot of our fairy tales and made them into movies. Pooey the Bear. The Little Mermaid. Cinderella. Has Princess and the Frog been made into a movie?
Yes.
Rapunzel.
Mulan.
Not Goldilocks. Snow White.
Aladdin. Pocahontas.
Okay, friends. Now, I marked red on the ones that have had a movie. I don't think Little Red Riding Hood had, which I'm surprised, quite honestly. Have been made into Disney adaptations. Pooey has. Pooey has had several movies made about him. He is very special, that Pooey. So, well, what is a fairy tale? What is a fairy tale? What are some things that all fairy tales have? There's usually a common theme. Helen. Cole. Oh yes, they always, pretty much always start once upon a time.
And they lived happily.
And they lived happily ever after. Yes, those are two very prominent beginnings and endings. Emma.
I'm pretty sure Little Red Riding Hood is actually
But not Disney. I don't think Disney's made Little Red Riding Hood. I just put the red bark by Disney, by the big D. Emma.
I have another fairy tale.
What's that?
Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, yes. I can't believe we didn't do Sleeping Beauty. Oh, boy. That was one of the first, friends, that was made. I think actually Snow White was. But with all of these fairy tales, now when we wrote our comics, I had you start by creating what? Owen. Characters. Most specifically, what character? Or characters? There's always a theme of this running through, intertwined in a fairy tale. Helen.
Well, I have one for the board.
Not right now, we're answering other questions. What is a common theme that also is a theme for characters? Toby. Good and evil.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. No. Every picture, every name I see up there, every title, there is a good versus evil. There is a good character and there's an evil character. So mermaids. So fairy tales, good versus evil. What else? A lot of times we have kings, queens, princesses, princes. We have, what's that?
Animals.
Talking animals. What else do you see that is a common theme that runs throughout all of these fairy tales? Owen. There is a conflict. Yes. Mulan's conflict. Who could tell me Mulan's conflict?
There was a war.
There's a war, and her father was called to war, and because he didn't have a son, he was going to have to go, and he was injured from the war before. So Mulan disguises herself as a boy. What about Pocahontas? What is good versus evil in Pocahontas? Helen. M.
People, they're like Indians.
Pocahontas is Indian, American Native American. And we have the evil British people coming and trying to colonize the land. We just talked about that. So that is Aladdin. We just watched Aladdin. What was the good versus evil in Aladdin, Helen?
Is it Jafar?
Yes.
He wanted to become king and rule over the whole city.
Yes, power.
Sounds like Pharisees.
What? Let's see. What about Pooey the bear? Oh, you missed that, Mrs. Cochran. You missed the. Yeah, it was good. We were listing fairy tales, and Jonathan said Pooey the bear, and we were like, he's talking about Winnie the Pooh. Pooey the bear. He's well known, or Winnie the Pooh. I do like Pooey the bear better though.
Yeah.
Pooey the bear really doesn't have a lot of evil. It's all pretty sweet and talking animals. Pooey likes his honey. I guess the one part he got stuck in the door because the door was too small. But really, Pooey is pretty even keel, sweet, kind, and everything is hunky dory. Not much evil going on with Pooey.
I like Tigger.
I love Tigger. All right, so we have got a common theme. We have good and evil. We have a good character. We always have a bad character. Some conflict occurs. There's usually a beautiful palace. I can't believe you all didn't think of Tangled or Frozen. Frozen is a fairy tale that is very popular. It has a king and a queen and princesses, a conflict. Olaf, a talking snowman. Yes, Christian. Turn around, Grayson. Yes, Christian.
Shrek.
Yeah, I would say Shrek. You can't forget Shrek. The very first Shrek starts at Once Upon a Time. Gosh, I love Shrek. We have to put Shrek down.
We need to watch Shrek sometime.
Shrek is the best.
And Shrek is funny.
All right, so friends, we have our very traditional fairy tales. What we are going to do, or what you are eventually going to do, is create a fractured fairy tale. Meaning you're going to take a traditional fairy tale and you're going to shatter it and create your own. So you're going to have a kind of a common theme that runs through your fairy tale, but you're going to change it. Create your own. I have one called The Princess and the Pizza.
Yum! Yum!
See if you guys figure this out. It comes from a very traditional fairy tale. Princess Paulina needed a job. Her father had given up his throne to become a wood carver and moved them to a humble shack in a neighboring kingdom. Since the king was still learning his carving stencil and Paulina's garden barely kept enough on the table, Paulina missed princessing. She missed walking the peacock in the royal garden, surveying the kingdom from the castle tower, and doing the princess wave. Everybody do your princess wave or prince wave? It's the girls. The boys don't have to do your princess wave.
What?
I said you don't have to. Paulina tried walking a stray chicken around her shack, but only pecked at her bare toes. Surveying the kingdom from the shack's leaky roof made even more holes. She tried princess waving to the townspeople from her father's cart, but nobody bothered to wave back. They just thought she was swatting at flies. Ironically, who has the king's crown on? Where is the crown? Emmy. On the horse. The horse is wearing the crown. One day, a page rode past the shack, announcing that Queen Zelda of Blom was seeking a true princess to become the bride of her son, Prince Drubert. This is my chance to get back to princessing, Paulina cried. She rummaged through her trunk of her ex-princess stuff, brushed the wood shavings from her best ball gown, and blew away the bits of sawdust that clung to her diamond tiara. What is a tiara? Ella? It is a crown, yes. Then she tucked a piece of garlic into her shirt for good luck, snipped some fragrant herbs to cover up the garlic smell, and headed for the castle. That's interesting. Paulina didn't expect much competition. There wasn't another princess for hundreds of miles, but when she got to Blom Castle, Paulina found she was only one of 12 princesses hoping to become the royal bride. When she looked into her assigned room, Paulina saw her bed piled with 16 mattresses. Oh, for Pete's sake, the old princess and the pea trick. That's so Once Upon a Time. Naturally, Paulina didn't sleep at all because she felt the lumpy pea through all the mattresses. Who has ever heard of the fairy tale Princess and the Pea? So there we have that mentioned. When the 12 princesses gathered in the throne room the next morning, the 7 who looked bright-eyed were sent home. Now only Paulina and 4 other sleepy princesses remained. First, they were made to write essays entitled, "Why I Want to Have the Gracious and Exquisitely Beautiful Queen Zelda for My Mother-in-Law." There's Zelda.
Oh, she's
Prince Drubert and Queen Zelda finally appeared on the balcony. Queen Zelda did all the talking. Congratulations, ladies. You have written some lovely essays, which I will keep in my scrapbook. And you have all passed the mattress test. To make absolutely sure you are of royal blood, there is a second test. Only a true princess can wear these glass slippers. What fairy tale does that come from? Glass slippers. Grayson. Yes. For Pete's sake, you never heard of sneakers? Paulina asked. Queen Zelda gave Paulina a sharp look. Nobody said you had to hike in them. Just try them on. I don't think glass slippers would be very comfortable. After the royal page made his way around the room with the slippers, 2 big-footed princesses were sent home. Now only Paulina and 2 others remained. One was followed around by 7 strange little men, and the other had such a long braid dragging behind her, Paulina kept tripping over it. For Pete's sakes, you never heard of scissors, Paulina cried. Queen Zelda glared at Paulina. You all have passed the second princess test. Your final task is to cook a feast that proves you are worthy of being my dear Drupert's wife. So who does this remind you of with the long braid that she's talking about? What fairy tale? Toby. Rapunzel. So you see in this fractured fairy tale, they have incorporated several fairy tales within this story, which is clever. They set up a wall among the princesses, especially Paulina. For Pete's sakes, you have no royal chef? Silence, said the queen. The table holds the makings for 3 fine feasts. Choose well, for the winner will become my dear Drupert's bride. As Paulina started for the table, the long-haired princess tripped her, then loaded up with food. By the time Paulina got there, the 7 strange little men. Who are these strange little men? Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. So we have to assume it's Snow White. The 7 strange little men had run off with everything but some flour, yeast, water, 3 overripe tomatoes, and a hunk of stale cheese. Jack, please put that away. Hey, that's not fair, Queen Zelda. Will you help me? No, said the queen, because you have a big mouth. Uh-oh. A servant escorted Paulina to her room and locked the door. Hey, how can I cook without a bowl or spoon or pots? There was no reply. Paulina tried to make bread, kneaded the flour, water, and yeast together, but it only stuck to the tray in a flattened mess. She squished the tomatoes over the dough to brighten it up. It looked awful. She sprinkled cheese gratings over the top. It was still a mess, and Paulina was exhausted. For Pete's sake, where is your fairy godmother when you need her? I'm going to take a nap. She reached under the pile of mattresses, pulled out the offending pea, and climbed into bed. What is she starting to make there, friends? What do you think? Let's wait and see. Who remembers what the title is? That will help you. She hadn't been sleeping long when there was a knock at the door. Only 20 minutes left, called Queen Zelda. I don't smell anything cooking. I'm not cooking, said Paulina. I'm napping. Then I'm going home. You're not going anywhere, said the queen. The losers, well, this is just a minor. The losers will be beheaded. Paulina sat bolt upright. Beheaded? You didn't tell us that. I forgot, said the queen. Can't I have a second chance? How about I try to spin straws into gold? Or maybe I could guess a weird little man's name. Those are 2 fairy tales, by the way. New second chances, declared the queen. But that's not fair. Paulina cried. Oh, who needs to be fair? I'm the queen. Paulina leaped out of bed and ran to the window, but it was an unbelievably long drop to the ground. The meal was her only hope. She rushed the tray over to the fireplace, stirred the few remaining hot coals, then crushed her garlic and sprinkled it over the mess for good luck. Finally, Paulina tossed on the herbs to cover up the garlic smell. Oh. Paulina paced back and forth, planning her escape. Perhaps she could make a deal with the long-haired princess to climb down her braid. She didn't notice that the goopy dough had browned into a crust. The tomatoes were bubbling. The hard bits of cheese had melted, and the fragrance of garlic and herbs filled the room. A page opened the door. Time's up! Pauline took a deep breath and carried her tray into the great dining room. The other princesses had made lovely feasts, especially the one who had 7 strange little men to help her. Princess Drupert went right to Paulina's tray. It's not pretty, but it smells delicious. He helped himself to an unusually generous piece. What do you call this? Paulina shrugged. I don't know. Can't be an official entry to the contest if it doesn't have a name, said the queen. Oh, for Pete's sake, Paulina muttered. What's that? Snapped the queen. Pete's what? Remembering the beheading threat, Paulina frantically tried to think of a name. It's Pete's, pizza? The queen took a big bite. Odd name, but it's tasty. The winner is Paulina's Pizza. You mean I won't be beheaded? I was only kidding about the beheading, said the queen. Then I was only kidding about wanting to marry Prince Drupert. Who needs him? I have other plans. Will you leave your recipe? Asked the queen. No way, said Paulina. It's just become a family secret. She headed for the door. I liked you best, whined the queen, following close behind. Oh, no, muttered Paulina as she stomped across the drawbridge. Aha. Princess Paulina's Pizza Palace opened a few weeks later. It featured unusual carved furniture and 50 kinds of pizza. Every Thursday on the royal chef's night off, Queen Zelda and Prince Drupert came to Paulina's for popcorn pineapple pizza. Ew. They often stayed to play cards with Paulina's father. From then on, wherever Paulina drove her pizza delivery cart through town, doing the princess wave, everyone waved back and ran after her, asking about the day's special. Life was good. Paulina was grateful not to have Queen Zelda for her mother-in-law, but she still worried about one little thing. She worried about getting Queen Zelda as her stepmother. So did she live happily ever after? Yeah. So she didn't have to marry the prince to be happily ever after, right? So, fractured fairy tale. We are starting to start working on fairy tales.
Popcorn, pineapple.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. And I like all kinds of pizza. Now, I don't mind. Have you had Canadian bacon with pineapple pizza? Not bad. Not bad. All right, so this is what we're going to do.